He was a charmer. He was a crooner. He was a cultural icon. Former President Ronald Reagan called his voice a national treasure. Meet Andy Williams. His entire life was spent in the spotlight. 8 decades of entertaining and showmanship. 100 million records sold. 18 gold albums. 3 platinum albums. A beloved voice of his day. He began as a child singing star, headlined his own TV show for nearly a decade, and then finished his career on a stage show in Branson, Missouri. His smooth sound and style make his voice an unmistakable one of a kind. Andy Williams was born in 1927 in Wall Lake, Iowa, to parents Florence and Jay Williams. At their father's prompting, young Andy sang in the church choir with his siblings. Harmonizing came easy for them, so their father set his sights on turning his kids into a musical act. In the late 1930s, Andy joined up with brothers Bob, Dick, and Don to form a family quartet. The family moved to Des Moines, and the boys landed a regular radio show. That led to other moves across the country, with Father Jay seeking fame and fortune for his quartet of sons. There was always a more prestigious radio station to land, so they moved to Chicago, and then Cincinnati, and then eventually settled in LA. Jay, now their manager, got them a contract with MGM, and the group, the Williams Brothers Quartet, sang in some movies and worked as backup singers for Bing Crosby. After the eldest brother was drafted into service, the head of MGM and radio star herself, Kay Thompson, worked with the group, getting them more projects. When Bob returned from war, she brought the group to Las Vegas, where they worked as her backup singers and dancers. Their act, Kay Thompson and the Williams Brothers, was wildly successful, and within a year, they were the highest paid nightclub act in the world. The year was 1947. Singing Brothers eventually called it quits in 1953. But Thompson kept working with Andy Williams. She coached him, wrote for him, and used her connections to get him gigs, including the role that would launch the rest of his career, a featured singer on Tonight starring Stephen Allen. She also helped to orchestrate a new contract with Cadence Records. Canadian Sunset, his third single, reached number 7. That was followed up with Butterfly, which spent a few weeks at number 1 on the Billboard charts. The hits kept coming, with the Hawaiian Wedding Song, Are You Sincere?, The Village of St. Bernadette, Lonely Street, and I Like Your Kind of Love. The 1960s for Andy Williams were his golden decade. He signed a lucrative TV deal, and his variety show, The Andy Williams Show, brought in high ratings for NBC from 1962 to 1971. He loved to introduce America to new singers, like the Osmonds, and a young group of brothers called the Jackson 5, with a spunky 7-year-old Michael stealing the show. The Andy Williams Show won 3 Emmy Awards for Outstanding Variety Program. In addition to his popular weekly TV show, Andy Williams signed with Columbia Records and continued to pump out music. His first album with his new label, Danny Boy and Other Songs I Love to Sing, soared up the charts. In 1962, Williams was asked to sing Moon River the theme song from Breakfast at Tiffany's at the Academy Awards. The song won Best Original that year and made another hit for Williams. That success inspired the album Moon River and other great movie themes. It launched Williams into superstardom. The album sat on the charts for the next 3 years. Each of his albums in the 1960s sold more than 1 million copies, with Moon River and Days of Wine and Roses selling over 2 million. Williams impressively had at least one album in the US top 10 every year of the decade, with Days of Wine and Roses topping out at number 1 for 16 weeks. Dubbed Mr. Christmas, Williams recorded an unbelievable 8 Christmas albums over the years. His Christmas specials, even after his weekly show ended, were the most popular of the Christmas genre. His song, It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, recorded in 1963, is a Christmas standard favorite and considered one of the top 10 Christmas songs of all time. Williams was a close friend of Robert and Ethel Kennedy. He was actually close by when Robert was assassinated in LA in 1968 and sang the Battle Hymn of the Republic at his funeral, per Ethel's request. A year later, Williams and his wife named their son Bobby in honor of RFK. Interestingly, Williams was a lifelong Republican, even despite his close ties with the Democratic Kennedys. In the 1970s, Williams' show was canceled and his record sales dropped, but his popularity continued. He played lucrative concerts throughout both the US and Europe. He also hosted the Grammy Awards show for 7 consecutive years. In 1991, Williams' brother Don invited him to Branson, Missouri, where Don worked as the manager for entertainer Ray Stevens in his new theater. Williams was inspired and encouraged to build his own theater. The Moon River Theater was opened the following spring, in May of 1992. Designed to blend in with the surrounding Ozarks, it was the first theater to be featured in Architectural Digest. It also won the Conservation Award from the state of Missouri in 1992. The theater, which celebrates nature, has waterfalls, ponds, plants, and trees. And on display are images from the long-running Andy Williams show and pieces from his personal and quite extensive art collection. The theater was the first non-country music venue to open in Branson. Williams continued to perform up until his cancer diagnosis in November of 2011. He died a year later, in September of 2012. He was 84. His ashes were sprinkled in the man-made Moon River at his Branson Theater. Williams was a charmer through and through. He was clean-cut and oozed style. His warm tenor voice was sometimes compared to chocolate sauce, warm and decadent. His songs are timeless classics, standards that make us smile and sigh at days gone by. Moon River, wider than a mile. I'm crossing you in style someday. Oh, dream maker, you heartbreaker. Wherever you're going, I'm going your way. Thanks for watching Memory Mountain. If you enjoyed this video, please click to subscribe to our channel and hit the thumbs up button. Be sure to tap the notification bell so you'll be one of the first to know when we post our next story looking back over the landscape of Americana.